Press the bell icon on YouTube and don't miss another update.
When I'm in Bombay, when I wake up in the morning in my hotel room, I often start my day by switching on to the business channels, or actually CNBC, the market channel. And why do? I do it just to get my mind refocused from politics to from the world of Delhi, which is politics, to the world of Bombay, which is business and economy. It's just a ploy. So what happens if you do that these days, as I did today? This morning, once again, markets were in the red. There was plenty of sad stuff on VG Siddhartha's passing away because his body was discovered in the morning. Also, the day ended with a dire bit of information that this July was the worst ever for Indian markets in how long? 17 years. 17 years. And remember, when was 17 years back? It was 2002 July. And what was happening then? We were on the verge of going to war with Pakistan, because 2011, you remember, 13-12 attack on Parliament. After that, Op Parakram, its sort of tension ebbed and rose several times. June, July was another moment when we were very close to going to war. So 17 years later, we've had a July just like that. The other important thing is that this July was the month of the budget. This was the election year. The budget, the earlier budget was a vote on account or a notional budget. The real budget was now. So this has been the carnage post-budget. Now, we spoke about this yesterday also, what's happening on the markets. This is just one more step in the same direction. But if you just reflect now and look back on what's happened post-budget, the kind of discourse we've had, particularly from the government and the finance minister, it tells you that there are three laws to Indian political economy that never change. The first one, I'd say with apologies to Victor Hugo. Victor Hugo said, nobody can stop an idea whose time has come. So I will tell you, for India's political economy, nobody can stop a bad idea whose time has come. So the first of these three principles of India's political economy, nobody can stop a bad idea whose time has come. Number two, when a bad idea does come and one government implements it, you can be absolutely sure that its successor, the next government, will only make it worse. I will give you examples of all. And third, as it gets worse and worse over time at the hands of successive governments, it would look like the number of people questioning it or attacking it would become less and less. And funnily, this will not cost anybody the votes. If anything, it might get people more votes. So are we as a people suckers for punishment? Are we a country of masochists? Just as our economy gets ruined, just as our pockets get picked, just as our government keep on extorting more from us to pay themselves more, we have a very expensive government. We keep on voting for the same political system, the same political parties. It's not Congress versus the BJP versus the left versus the so-and-so versus the so-and-so. They are all the same. As Arvind Kejriwal would have said, ye sab mile hue hain. So let me give you the example of the first of the three laws. Nobody can stop a bad idea whose time has come. Specifically right now, there are many ideas. I think MGNREGA was a bad idea, the way it came in, and that's what BJP and especially Narendra Modi said then. But having said that, let's now focus on compulsory CSR. When UPA started it, it was a bad idea, but we knew that its time had come because there was all this discourse from the Western world, particularly Europe, on corporate excess. The corporate lifestyles were becoming too ostentatious, salaries were going through the roof. 2008 financial crisis in America also had given corporates, particularly the banks and the financial institutions, a bad name. So something like that, politicians thought they might as well do to make the poor happy. So when the Congress or the UPA did this, some of us had said it's a stupid idea, because why are you forcing companies whose main job is to do well by their shareholders and also pay their taxes honestly. Why are you making them do the government's job? It's the government's job to charge taxes, to collect its taxes and then spend them well. So government has to set up hospitals, schools, give weapons to the armies, build highways, build railways, etc., etc. It's not the job of corporates. But because the government is not capable of doing its own job well, they not just outsource it to corporates, but make it mandatory for them. So initially it started as discretionary, that you will spend 2%, there will be no consequence if you don't, except we will reveal your name. So name and shame, but no punishment. What has this government has done? This government has now, first of all, Congress proved the first bad law of Indian political economy wrong. Nobody can stop a bad idea whose time has come. This government has proved the second law wrong, which is every successive government will then worsen that idea. This government in this budget now, with amendment to section 135 of the Companies Act, has now made it a penal offence. Penal offence. You can be fined 25 lakh rupees and also sent to jail for 3 years for not spending your CSR money correctly. And what is correctly? Who will define correctly? So they will obviously be government inspectors. They can be government whatever officers, but they will be inspectors who will then assess whether you've spent your money correctly or not. If you don't, you'll be hit by Serious Frauds Investigation Office, SFIO. Who will do business in this country if the sword of SFIO and a jail sentence is sitting on your heads? Good question. Not just that, the finance minister says that if you cannot spend your money in 3 years, your CSR money, it will go into an escrow account. So this is the next step now to government confiscating this money as well. And I can guarantee to you that the next government will make it even worse and actually start confiscating it. Now, why aren't the governments less complicated? Why don't they just increase tax by another 2% and keep the money, since the idea is extortion? They will not do it because once you take this money as tax, you have to account for it. They don't want to account for it. They know it's a sizable amount of money. In 2017-18, from the data I see from KPMG and a couple of other surveys, just the nifty listed companies spent about 10,000 crores in CSR. If you add everything, maybe now about 15-20,000 crores. And as time passes, there will be more of it. In any case, the government controls what is spent by the big public sector monopolies, NTPC, ONGC, Indian Oil, etc., because those are the only public sector companies that make sizable profits. But this way, government and the political class also gets control of another large bunch of money for which they are not accountable either to Parliament or to CAG or to RTI or to journalists or to anybody. So this is robbery from the side. So what's happened now? Initially, when the Congress party started it, many of us criticized it. This was defended by the Congress party as saying, look, there is a public opinion is anti-corporate right now. So something like this needs to be done to assuage them. Now, this government says, look, the poor are stupid, right, or gullible. So you can fool them. You can look like you are hurting the rich. It's good business because it's a good transaction. If you seem like hurting the rich, the poor shall vote for you in gratitude, out of sadistic gratitude, not because they get anything substantive because of it. So let's go a step forward. And now, if you are critical of these things, worse things could happen to you than just counter criticism by the government, because now the bad guys with green shades, as they are called, can visit you, because criticizing the government now is a more risky business. So you will find fewer and fewer people criticizing it. The good thing is that in this case, quite a few people who normally you would see as supporters of this government and supporters of Mr. Modi are expressing their disappointment. And I do hope that the government will hear that, but I don't think they will. Because look, politicians are politicians. Politicians these days don't see public office as public trust. They don't think they owe anything to people or to the voters. All they want the voters to do for them is vote for them. And they are only looking at what can they do that will make the voters vote for them. In the process now, in this environment, when too much is already being criminalized, globally, the essence of reform is that more and more I would say, indiscretions or more and more wrongs done in the line of business are decriminalized. But in our country, we are criminalizing more and more. And now we have criminalized something that nobody had expected to criminalize. So let me tell you something, and I say it with a degree of sobriety, and we should all be sober, knowing what's happened to VG Siddhartha, who could not handle to this combination of stresses and harassments, that if you keep on doing this, and tomorrow you do really lock up one big corporate in jail for not spending his or her CSR money to your satisfaction, to the government's satisfaction, not to his shareholders' satisfaction, not to his board satisfaction, not to his bank satisfaction, not to any stakeholder satisfaction, the government's satisfaction, while the government is not accountable for it, you could lock him up in jail. And when that happens, you will find more people cheering it than questioning it. And that is the reason. Then you get down to the real reason why tens of thousands of rich Indians or entrepreneurial Indians are now taking permanent residency overseas and are going away. So in the past phase of socialism, we saw brain drain. In this phase of new socialism, we are now seeing capital drain. And after brain drain and capital drain, we could be headed for entrepreneurship drain. Because nobody who does business and makes a profit and pays their taxes then want to face the prospect of a jail sentence for not spending their CSR obligation money to an inspector's satisfaction. This is a terrible decision. There is a bunch of tweets that the finance minister put out. I would recommend that you see them. And one of those quotes Gandhi, and she says that this is following the Gandhian dictum of corporate profit being public trust. Now, first of all, politicians lecturing businessmen in public trust is a bit rich. But having said that, I'm quite sure Gandhi would never have approved of this kind of state intervention, this kind of statism. This is a completely wrong principle, that the only virtuous thing in this entire universe in our country is our state. That's our politicians, our bureaucrats, our judges, everyone who works for the government, who constitutes our government. That's not the way modern democracies or modern societies work. Once again, it's a wish that there will be reversal on this, but at the same time, there is a feeling that it's unlikely to happen because the players in the world of Indian corporates are very weak. They are not willing to speak. The only way this can change is if the economy is really hurting so much, if the markets continue to vote with their feet as they are doing right now, and somebody in Delhi wakes up and thinks, look, I can handle this in the election year by just transferring stuff to the voters and making them happy, but I can't handle it if this goes on. This starts in the first year of my 5-year term and then goes on unreversed. So on that hope, I will conclude today's Cut the Clutter from Bombay, and also request you once again to start subscribing to our channel and tell your friends and family to do so. So please do keep track of our YouTube channel.